Molly, do you know who this is?
I think it's Darian.
Darian?
Yeah, that's mine.
All right. Tell us about who you are, where you're from, what you're doing.
I'm Darian Rosebrook. I'm self-taught. I live about 15 minutes north of Seattle.
The hustle, the grind. All right, Molly, what is your guess as to how we can make this thing better?
Contrast.
How?
There needs to be more variation, I feel like, because right now it's just everything's kind of at the same. And for some reason, I don't want to read them. Both have those applications in your life.
This is a group, and I look at volume and mass, right? It's like that. Then I take this as a group, and you look at that as a mass, and you take this as a group. You see how they're all kind of the same amount of space, relatively speaking, and
Yes.
that's what they're talking about. So what we want to do is we want to break this thing up. The hustle, the grind. It's kind of a nice poster now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry to like delete everything on you, but now it's a nice poster, okay? Okay, anyways, I'm going to take this, I'm going to move it up because it's just too far away. And I'm going to do something that I normally would advise you not to do. I'm going to just try something, guys, real quick. I'm going to jam this so that the baseline and the cap height line touch each other because I think there's this idea about the hustle and the grind and the friction in between. Is that too crazy?
I'm not a fan.
The next thing is, it's just too big. I need to scale this thing down. I'm going to scale it down right there.
You know what? When you make it smaller like that, I actually don't mind.
You don't mind it as much?
Yeah.
Why is it better smaller? Why does it look better?
Okay, it's a very good question. Why does everything look better smaller? It's because you have more negative space. If you have a small room, buy small furniture. If you buy really large furniture, the furniture looks really big and then the room feels really cramped. I'm going to grab this type at the bottom too. I'm going to make it smaller as well. And it looks good enough for me right now while we're designing on the fly. Okay, justified left, lots of negative space. The reason why it's not great right now is because there's two words, the. That bugs me. Mm-hmm. The hustle, the grind. Maybe there is a clever way to do this, and I think there is. I'm going to show you, okay?
They're going crazy.
The hustle, the hustle. Paste in the grind. I'm going to put the grind right on top. And maybe I'll make it like 50%. And then you guys can play around with this so that you actually have to read those two against each other. What do you think, Molly?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It could
Are you
work.
guys serious?
It could work.
No,
Is this
yes.
seriously?
No, because you need to mess with it. You really need to like finesse it. But I feel
Yeah,
like
you need to mess with it. It's just an idea. It's a sketch. And I don't, if I had all the layers, it would work.
Yeah.
I promise you it would work. Okay? This is where if you were to print this on vellum, all my print people, you would print the red on the front and you would print the black on the back side flipped over. So when you see it through the vellum, you get this mirrored, this translucent image, and it would be really cool. I promise you guys, if you finesse this, it will work, and you can read both, but I just want to reduce redundancy. Now there's a little friction, and I believe what he's saying has some friction to it. Now what I want to do is bring this guy back in. Now, you guys pay attention to this. Check this out. Something happens here. If it's here, it's okay. If it's here, is it okay? Is it here, is it okay? When you do 10,000 hours of typography and layout, you start to learn where these things should be. I'm doing a lot of things right now out of intuition because I've already done this a million times and I've learned like where it needs to be. If this space here is even to this, then it just doesn't feel right. And if it's too far away, it doesn't feel connected to it. Mm-hmm. Now what happens here is this. Let me throw up another mark here. Let me do this and brush. When this distance and this distance is equal, I have no idea if this is an idea that's attached to this or if it should be totally separate. Okay?
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep moving it around. Okay, watch this. Now I'm gonna half that distance again. Now we're getting into what Eddie was doing, which is 1/3, 2/3. Mm-hmm. And it feels a little bit better. But is it done yet? It's probably not. It's probably not done yet. And I think because it needs to be, wrong layer. It needs to be a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Now, are we done yet, Molly?
No, we're not done.
What do we need to do? What else can we do with this block of type? I'm going to show you guys some tricks, and you guys are going to have a good time with this, I think. I personally don't love the italic on this. I would have preferred it be the regular weight and not italicized because it throws off our alignment. And generally speaking, when you do italic, you're adding emphasis, but when you emphasize the entire paragraph, you've lost the meaning of it. That's why you've now had to go in and do red. Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 tricks right now. The first thing is I'm going to just make it smaller. Most of the times, I'm always telling you guys, justify left, justify left. That's usually the way we go. There's a second axis that we can work off of. There's another axis right there.
Oh, horizontal axis.
There is. So how can you make it work with that? That's a trick. So I'm going to go and make
Turn
this.
it upside.
Right. You know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
I can lead a horse to water. I'm going to rotate it. Like that. There's another axis here that you can make it work. And I'm going to move it around and try and find the place. Now, if this list were twice as long, it would work. But right now, it's kind of not there, neither here nor there, but I'm going to just leave it here. I'm going to turn off this grid line because you guys will start to get influenced by it. So right now, it feels really off balance. So it's got to be smaller. And I'm going to delete this part of it because that part's messing me up too. And unfortunately, I already got some red type in there. There's just too much going on. And I'm going to take this type. I'm going to duplicate it over here. And I'll show you what happens in 1 second. So now there's a stronger axis here, and you can see that. Let me group it down. And then I don't want that. And then I'm going to move it. So here it's the exact same. So what we want to do is find that point in which it's either too far out and it breaks, or it's too close and it doesn't do anything. But that's another way you guys can do this. It's still not working, you guys, but I want to open up your thinking and your exploration to include things like the baseline as a principal axis. We have that circular element. I don't know if we want to add it back in, but I want to point out one other thing here. We could do things to anchor things other than moving the entire bit of type. So I'm going to draw something there. Grab this red color. Mark here, move this up. Now, if I add some other design element here to tie the baseline in together with this, you see how it starts to work there? Okay. Now, perhaps I might want to make it go all the way to the cap height line. So I can just stretch it up right now real quick. But then it becomes too big and heavy. Too heavy. There's a simple solution to that, Molly. What do?
Make it smaller.
Excellent. Like maybe a lot smaller. Let's try it like that. See?
Yeah.
Someone said looks cool, but is it functional? I think it's functional.
Not everything on the page has to be purely functional, except for the fact that it needs to keep your interest in the design.
Catch
Otherwise,
your
we
eye.
just only put type and center it all. We do have to catch somebody's interest when they're walking by on a billboard and look at something like, wow, that's really cool. But I'm going to make it functional because, you know what? Screw you. Okay, here we go. You see this thing? Take this sucker, rotate it, make it smaller. You guys know where this is going. It's going right over here. It'll be functional again. I don't want to hear from you guys.
Molly, what's funny?
Why is this not a
My fans.
Oh, you have
Your fans?
fans?
Yeah.
Molly, stop. It's not all about you. Would you just
All she's
relax?
doing is reading the comments of
God.
people like, Molly's hot. And she's
Oh my
like,
God,
oh my
no,
God, that's
I'm
so...
not.
Oh my gosh,
really?
she's so cool.
Oh.
She's the bestest. All right.
I hate you guys.
Darian, you see that?
Yeah.
We saw that problem. And whoever the hater was in terms of like, it's not functional. I made it functional.
Boom.
Relax.
I love that.
This is the way it was. And this is the way it is now.